So I just decided I'd start doing like videos about things I've been thinking about, in my free time. I usually think about certain concepts, I guess from a philosophical lens. Don't really have too much let's say experience in the realm of philosophy, uh, in terms of studies or anything. But I would say it is something that interests me in my free time. I'm more likely to watch something about the ways people think about things and how they think, than a different genre of video, right? I just like this kind of stuff, I guess. Um, and so this particular video, I want to talk about, truth, the concept of it, what it probably is based on my observations, you know, and it's more like, and maybe what it isn't, but truth is like almost like a separate entity in all its own, right? Separate from the knowledge and wisdom we have humans have garnered. Not to say that this knowledge and wisdom may not necessarily approximate to the truth, or it would not be, how should I say, it could sometimes be aligned with the truth, but sometimes it isn't. And we don't necessarily have ways to identify that because something is true because it is what it is. It is almost very circular reasoning, and there's no way for us to necessarily know what it is without, I guess, large amounts of time studying and seeing what it isn't, right? Now, even in science, this is why facts can change over time because we're still uncovering the truth, and sometimes something that was a fact is no longer a fact because we have more, like, I guess, details about this particular subject or whatever, right? Because it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of human focus, it takes generations to like figure out what the truth could be because it's something entirely different, essentially, from what you know or believe, right? Um, and so, and and basically because different people are taught different things, right? And you're more likely to believe based on who you trust and general consensus more than what is true because we don't, we're not inherently born knowing what truth is. Now, the cool thing about this is that society itself, not necessarily based on truth, but it's based on general consensus of what people actually want, actually believe in, like, cultural things. So it's not actually that big of a deal, right? And so that's a good thing, I guess. And also, like I said, essentially through historical evidence or things trending, if you notice a trend, you could kind of say, well, the truth must be that this somehow correlates to that or whatever. Um, it does present issues because, uh, a lot of us are super attached to ideas, even though, and we want it to be true, doesn't necessarily mean it is. That's like usually like the issue with truth. Because we trust the person that told us something, we believe it to be true. Uh, we don't necessarily take it with a grain of salt because this is a trusted source, right? There's a lot of things that your parents, or Grammys, or teachers, or whoever may have taught you that you take to be true that may not be true or a trusted authority. For instance, I am currently a gas pump attendant, right? And there's a situation about like car coolant, right? You put it in the car. If you look online, it says that your engine should be off, but where I'm from in the Bahamas, in this particular area, apparently people actually say that you should turn the engine on. Now, it's interesting. I experienced this. Like this lady, she actually put a coolant in, but she's like, "Oh, should I turn the car engine? on first. I'm like, well, I've never heard of that. I don't know exactly if it's right or wrong. I don't mind you doing it, but it's all up to you. I don't necessarily know if it's a good idea or not, though. I mean, online it says it isn't, but locally people are saying it is. And that's one of the things, like, because she learned from probably, I don't know, someone else who has authority in her eyes in this field that you should turn it on, than me saying that I never heard that before, or me recommending the engine to be off is now bizarre to her, right? And now it's a situation where it seems as if I have no knowledge of what to do when I might. I don't really know. It's not super important to me. But that's kind of like you could see how the discrepancies could kind of come through that, experience. And hmm, and in a situation like that, then it comes with like all other things like, well, in a situation where someone else were to tell me to do that, I probably ask like, what has your experience been with it? And then that will guide me to know how I should be able to act in that situation with the coolant, right? Because there's like a discrepancy, and if I can identify that the general consensus people locally are saying turn it on, that makes more sense to turn it on because socially most things are done by consensus. And if the engine isn't on and I put the coolant in and somehow something does go wrong, then I'm in more of a fault than if it were on because of perception. Because if it were on and something went wrong, everyone thought I did the right thing, and this is just a weird coincidence. Now, if it's off and we put the coolant in, then if something does go wrong, then I am more likely to be held liable, right? So that's one of those like discrepancies, right? So that's all I want to talk about, essentially, you know. But yeah.